Okay, we're back. We've got a special guest today for DeFi Happy Hour, Kevin Leo from Metis. He's one of the co-founders. Yeah, definitely one of the big brains behind Metis, Layer 2. And Kevin, thank you for joining us, despite the chaos in the markets. And but I suppose builders are going to build. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So just before we started, you were just, we were obviously just chatting about, what it is that Metis has been doing and what your mission is. So, what is the mission? What is the vision for what it is that you guys are doing?
From the very beginning, Metis actually has a very clear mission and vision. We hope to onboard traditional business, the Web2 business, onto Web3. In order to do that, you will need a very solid technical infrastructure to support the high transaction volume and also at a very low cost. So that is currently what we are building, the layer 2, the smart layer 2 technology to enable people to onboard onto the blockchain at a high speed, and also they can trade at a very low cost. As you can see from the data, currently we are at a very low cost. Actually, we are one of the lowest, cost blockchain on in the Ethereum ecosystem. So actually, I think we have achieved our part of our initial goal to build a scalable and solid infrastructure for the business expansion. But this is not enough because, as you can see, the chaos in the market going on. There's some firm belief from us that blockchain is not just finance. As you can see from the uh, physical world, finance is building on top of the real business operation. If you have no this foundation, finance will be just like a tree without root. They will just like what currently happening. It's just trading or scam or other things will happen. It's very common. But for us, we believe that blockchain need to support the real business operation first, and then finance or DeFi can work as a large financial market to support all these real business operation. So that is currently what we are building. In order to do that, we under the support of Metis Foundation, we support two other business. For now, we are incubating them and hope they can launch the product very soon. One is the reputation power, which you can see as the Web3 identity, especially for those Web2 users. They need some, very easy entry point into the Web3 world, and they don't want to create a wallet to also save the private key or public key stuff. They don't want that. So we hope this reputation power metrics, they can serve as this layer to get users very easy entry into the Web3 world. And also there's another business, what we call DAC framework. It's decentralized autonomous company. We believe everyone can create your own business on the blockchain, but currently there's lack of a framework, a workflow to enable people to do so. So that is what we are doing. We hope to introduce automatic workflow where you can create your company, you can hire people, finish task, and then do the payroll, tax, and even some legal document. So it's all automatically implemented, just like you do business in the physical world. With this reputation power and also DAC framework, we believe that is the foundation for the business operation onto the blockchain. So yeah, it's a little long, but that's currently what we're doing. Sorry, you're on mute. Dude.
Sorry about that. I want to just break down. You're right. I mean, it is quite a lot, but essentially, it's a very clear vision, right? I mean, it's not. There's no question marks around what the strategy is. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of question marks, but in terms of what it is that you're trying to achieve, it's very clear. It's like, let's form a foundation that has business principles, and how do we arrive at those business principles without complicating the issue? Because I mean, as we know, that up until now, you know, on chain and DeFi has always been quite a complicated thing, and it's something that we've discussed a lot with Blockmates as an education platform. And essentially, what Metis is trying to do here is eliminate those barriers to entry. How just I want to just explore something that you said, and I will look at the DAX and obviously the reputation power and obviously the business principle idea that you presented. But I wanted to just go to the first thing that people really struggle with in DeFi, and that is that, how do I set up a wallet? How do I save my keys? You saying that you have a solution that actually bypasses that, and not essentially bypasses, but you saying that you don't need a wallet. Can you just explain to me how that will work, or how that works in terms of your vision?
Actually, they still need a wallet, but actually, the way to create a wallet is different. You don't have to to download a MetaMask or other, use other wallet and then to remember all these private key or public key stuff. You can use your email or your profile in, let's say, LinkedIn or even Discord. All you need is account over there, and you can log into our policy and then create your own digital identity over there. So it's very similar to you create a new email account.
Okay.
Yeah, but as a back, it's still a wallet, but you don't need to be so complicated to as I mentioned. Yeah.
So you don't need to save private keys. How do you then take custody of your wallet if you're not having to save private keys? How does that mechanism work?
The private key actually is encrypt as a backend, and if
Okay.
you hope to, uh, export, you have the way to do that. But
Okay.
most time you don't need to. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's something that we need to look in. I mean, we love to do the educational series. We'll definitely look at it and include that in our beginner guides. So that's definitely something that we'll look at doing. We really appreciate what you guys have done in terms of the speed, the transactions. I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, in terms of the transaction costs, it's pennies, and it's a big difference to what it is on other chains. In fact, like you said, it's the cheapest. In terms of just moving on from that, I wanted to just look at the reputation power. We actually did a an article and a thread on the reputation power. I find this to be fascinating. I mean, I've been a gamer pretty much my whole life, and it's obviously it's such an important part of how we relate to one another online. Where did the idea come from, and how did you guys implement? I mean, how have you guys gone about implementing this idea that you picked up off on?
Yeah, actually, this idea came from a very long time when we, three co-founders first met, and we kept aligned with our vision, and then we found that if everything is built on token, actually, in the end, it's still a centralized way because token will be held by large whale, and large whale exerts their influence, so it's still centralized. But how we can leverage the true contributors in the community and let them to say, or let them to choose. Then we came to this idea. Actually, what you have been doing on the chain is trackable, right? So
Yeah.
it's your on-chain like track record, and then all these track record can be converted into the reputation power. So that is also part of the governance that Metis Foundation gonna implement next year. We will roll out different eco nodes, and eco nodes will have different reputation power badge as a weight to vote. These different eco nodes are real contributors to the ecosystem. So let them say and let them to decide for the future.
Yeah. So I mean, so you're using reputation power, so that it's kind of like a soulbound token, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
you're effectively creating a soulbound token. I
It's
mean, does that translate into an NFT, or is it just, how does it actually exist on the blockchain?
For, let's say, if from a user perspective, first you will need to create your own profile first. It's
Yes.
that's what we describe as a passport in the Web3 world. This passport
Okay.
is also a soulbound token, but it can be connect to different activities on the chain. So how do you get this okay, let me rephrase in another way. First, you will need to create your own, passport, like your
Yes.
on-chain profile, and then when you do transactions or vote or participate in different tasks, it will you can claim different NFT badge, and these NFT badges are also non-transferable. When you claim this, it will be connected to your personal profile, which is your the social NFT, your passport. So it's just like a visa.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have the passport and you collect visa from different applications. All these will contribute to your reputation power, which we have some algorithm to convert into some numbers. And you can see, a high number means a high reputation power. And next time, when some other application, they hope to, let's say, do co-launch or airdrop, or even invite high-profile people join their community, you are their target.
Wow. Okay. So it is essentially an on-chain
It's all
reflection of who. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It really is a powerful thing. I mean, it's reputation power. At the end of the day, it's self-explanatory. Even if you aren't a gamer, from a gamer's perspective, it's so obvious. I mean, we can still remain anonymous, but we can obviously demonstrate whether we're good actors through our
Yeah,
actions,
exactly.
and obviously, that's amazing. And then obviously from the governance side of it, I mean, I understand that that's part of the ultimate goal of having a completely decentralized network. How does that fit into your vision? I mean, how do you, from the Metis, the Metis team, how do you guys still land up being a part of this ecosystem once you reach a point where obviously the community then runs the whole thing?
Mhm. Also for this, governance and decentralized part, I think we have released at least one or two, roadmap regarding that.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some considerations regarding how to get decentralized, because
Yes.
we see a lot of use case when they go too fast, it will impede the whole project. I I saw some use case, they like for over half a year they couldn't pass a proposal. That's not acceptable for a business operation, right? So
Yes.
we hope to find a very well balance between the a team operation and also the community governance. So that's why we have this that is what we are going to launch very soon. 2 layers governance structure. We call the first layer is actually is we learn from the politics structure from a lot of Western countries like US or United Kingdom. They have the House and also they have the Senator. So for us, it's the same, but it's not personal level because we are building the DAC. So we hope every DAC can be the very valuable contributors to the ecosystem. So first, anyone can create a DAC in our platform, which the platform can launch soon. And when they stake Metis, they will become a common. The common has a privilege to propose Metis enhanced proposal. So they can propose all these proposals and vote among all the commons. When they pass the criteria, the proposal will be submitted to the second layer, which
Yes.
is the eco nodes. Eco nodes is like, as I just introduced, they are true contributors to the ecosystem. They have been building the product and technology since day one, and also there, let's say, when this proposal has some technical implementation involved, they will need professional team to do that. So it's not like a community member can do that. It's a dedicated team to do that. So that will also be allocated to the EcoNode to finish that. So EcoNodes, they can review all these proposals and decide what is most feasible way to do that, or is it reasonable to do that. So that's their call. For Metis Foundation, there won't be any co-founders anymore. We will work as coordinator to allocate resources and support to different econodes and commons to support their involvement in the whole ecosystem. So that's pretty much the whole structure. We will launch another very detailed article to explain all these framework.
Great. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that we'll also get involved in, obviously informing our community as well. Because we've got, I mean, from the Blockmates community, there's a lot of interest around, what Metis is doing, and the projects that you guys have onboarded. I mean, Hummus has been very popular in our community.
Yeah.
I know that Hermes is starting to find its stride now as well. Obviously the market's been really tough. I mean, when you guys started in November, it was kind of like a little bit of a baptism by fire. But it seems like, when you're from the outside looking in, it seems like you addressed the problems that you had encountered earlier on. And I wanted to just speak to that. I think the obvious question is, what lessons did you learn as a co-founder when you guys launched in November? Like, what lessons did you learn, and how did you go about, kind of like rectifying those mistakes? If you did make any, did you make any mistakes? What were the challenges that you encountered?
Yeah, the past year actually was quite exciting. With workable infrastructure, that is a first step of our achievement. And at our beginning, we hope to support a lot of builders to onboard and to develop in our ecosystem. So we put a lot of resources and even manpower into that. I think there's some lessons learned because we try to help, but there's some boundaries that we might not to fine tune it. So I think that leads to our new program, which is the community ecosystem governance program launched. We hope to hear the community's voice, which project we should support, instead
Yes.
of team says that. So I think that's one of the lessons learned, that when you support projects, there should be some extent we need to leverage. We cannot do all the stuff for them.
Yes.
Yeah. We still
So,
need yeah.
so I mean, in terms of the because you guys have got Metis has got a grants program where, I mean, I think a lot of ecosystems have a grants program. You have a grants program where you incentivize projects that are looking for funding, and you then provide them with funding, provided you approve what it is that they are bringing to the table and whether they add value to the ecosystem. I mean, right now, what is your kind of like top three kind of projects that you would like to see on Metis? And the reason why I'm asking that is that, I'm essentially putting it out there to, builders that might be working on something, and that there might be an opportunity for them to approach Metis and try and, get a grant and do something with you. So what are you guys looking for at the moment?
Yeah. We this is actually part of the DeFi entity for these partners. We have, our BD team have been working on RV for quite a while. So definitely that's one of the target. We hope that could be our money market infrastructure on the block.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, there are a lot of other DeFi protocols that BD team are also working on. I think we can release the information when the timing is right.
Yes.
For me, for myself, I would more than happy to see a lot of new business onto the blockchain. So
Yes.
for part one, I hope our DAC can be launched very soon.
Yes.
That is a platform can support a lot of new business. And part two is the traditional business, large brands, like Starbucks or like Nike or something traditional.
You're not allowed to say McDonald's, Kevin, in light of what's happening with the market at the moment. Okay, no McDonald's.
No McDonald's. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there would be, the need to encourage businesses like that to come on. But I mean, would that be viable at this point in time? I mean, in terms of the vision, do you not think that it might be a little bit ambitious to, expect someone like Nike to come in? How do you facilitate something like that? How do you, would that be like an online storefront? Is it possible that we could do like a Web2 style storefront where people could either like showcase their products as a Nike, or whether you could do your shopping? I mean, how soon do you think we see something like that? Is it something that we're going to see? I mean, crypto's been all about, yield aggregation and, all these crazy things. But you're 100% right. I mean, we need to encourage real world solutions and services. And I'm just curious, like, how long do you think it's going to take us to get to that point?
Yeah. To be honest, it still will take time, but during our communication with those traditional companies, actually, I can see a trending that blockchain is not something that um, they didn't hear of, or they have no idea of. Um, Actually, a lot of companies are very actively considering blockchain solutions. Um, the I think there should be some entry point as well for them, how they can get benefit from leveraging blockchain technology, or our layer two platform. So basically, the most easy way is marketing, and the community, how to leverage their own users and to be more engaged with their product or platform. Yeah, I can see some solutions are coming around, but I agree with you. First, it still takes time,
Yeah.
but we can definitely see the training, and we hope to be part of this training.
Yeah. I mean, I think from where we've, what's obviously happened, over the last few days, and I mean it's something that we just have to discuss, because I think that, my stance on this whole thing is that I believe that DeFi does fix all of this, like I really do believe that it fixes all of it, because I think one of the biggest problems we've had with, the whole FTX thing is that transparency has definitely not been at the forefront. Everyone was under the impression that like someone like Alameda and particularly FTX were just doing really well. And I think they did do very well. But there was no sight of, the extent of, the extent of what it is that they were doing, because obviously we didn't have the open ledger system at full disclosure. And the thing is that from a DeFi perspective, how do you think we move forward with what's just happened now with FTX? And then particularly with Metis, how does Metis step in and say, guys, we don't need central exchanges. We don't need all of this stuff because we have an open ledger system. So how do you as an ecosystem approach this problem and sell it essentially to all these people that are now, I don't want to be in crypto anymore, even retail saying, why should we invest in crypto? How do you now make crypto sexy in light of what's just happened with FTX?
Mhm. Well, that's a big question. For for Metis, I think I have already stated. Um, First, DeFi is still very, very important to the whole ecosystem, not Metis ecosystem. I mean the whole blockchain ecosystem. The key is to define the role it's going to play in the whole framework. It's for now like the maybe 99 percentage of the business in the blockchain space is DeFi, but for us, we believe at least 30 or 40% of the business should be real business, real world business. With that foundation, DeFi can work as the financial market, just like the real world business. You still need a very robust financial market to contain all these trading and also lending, borrowing, but it should be built on some solid foundation, which is the true business building on the blockchain. So I think that's our part of our understanding for this. Also, with the reputation power, um, I feel like there might be some application in the DeFi world as well, because you can, even you borrow a land, you can track these persons, reputation power, and then decide a different maybe rate for different RP level.
Yeah.
So yeah, and get um, if we can, say something about the FTX issue, I feel like this, although it's all said, as you mentioned, transparency, all decentralized, but it down to end, it's still controlled by some large venture capitals or a large fund holders, and there's actually no third power to you know to balance it. The project has too much power to do everything. The community is actually not really involved into this key business, and that is part of the problem that current most DAO have, because these token holders, they're small. They're, let's say, they sometimes they take they only care about short-term returns, but for this long-term strategy, or like how to manage the whole business operation, they really don't have too much benefits or incentives to do that. Yeah, uh, that is part of the reason why we hope to build the DAC, because we believe people in the community, if they hope to contribute, we need to find a way for them. And when they get involved, there should be some benefits for them, and even the reputation power, or they get the bounty or something like that. But it should actually involve all the community as a power to monitor and to rectify all these paths. Although it might not solve all the issues, but currently, if they have all the power to do all the stuff, that is not right.
100%. I totally agree with you, and I think that's the essence of what decentralization is, and why, like, I believe that decentralized finance and the concept of, in essence, that it solves those problems. You take the power away from individuals, but as you said, even in DeFi, if you don't do the governance process properly, like I think DAOs have shown that it's not best method. I'm sure we'll be shot down for saying that. I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree with us, but I think you are correct. I think the DAC approach, the decentralized autonomous corporation, is definitely an improvement. We obviously need to see how it's going to play out in terms of testing it in real world case.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be perfect. Maybe it won't, but I think it will be a step in the right direction.
We try,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and it's definitely something that's becomes, and it's something that I've said on Twitter. I think like what's happened with FTX just supports the concept and the practice of decentralized governance even more so now. Now we've reached a tipping point where we're almost forced. We almost need to look at, if you want to trade perpetuals or options or whatever the case might be, there are options for you to do that on chain. There are options to do that away from a centralized exchange where you can take custody of your own money. And I think that's really important. I think, as a founder, that I believe that that's something that you need to, and I'm sure you do, it's something that you need to promote wherever you go. And it's like, it's your responsibility as a user to, just take control of your own money and your own participation in this blockchain world. And I think that, the next question that I wanted to ask you is, how do you think we evolve from this whole thing where, it was all about, like, this last bull run, it was all about the Ponzi's, it was all about this quick money, and I know that you've spoken about, how we need to involve, traditional Web2 players, but beyond that, how do we present this opportunity to people in a way that makes sense. Like if I go to my mom and say, like, you can do your shopping online, you can go to this place. What is that bridge between the Web 2 and the Web 3 experience without people actually realizing that they're using Web 3? Because right now I feel like there's so many barriers for us to enter. Obviously, the wallet that you guys described was one thing, but how do we approach it in the real world? Is it like an advertising campaign? Is it getting, people who have influence, whether they, like football players, like FTX try to do with, like with football and sport and all that kind of thing? Is that the route that we go? I mean, what do you think is the best way to approach this thing for mass adoption?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first it needs to be done piece by piece and step by step, and it will take time. And I believe there will be multi ways to implement that. For Metis and especially for representation power and DAC framework, currently we supporting them to build. I believe there are certain ways they can, engage with the users from the very beginning. Like, let's say for the DAC framework, um, there are two markets in this framework. One is like traditional business, and then another side is the freelancers, or people have time or skill to do stuff. So what we need to do is to find the actual target users and to get them on board. And what they need, we hope to provide us experience that they don't need to know the blockchain is behind. All they need to do is to log in to your email and then find some tasks, uh, uh, and then you can apply. Sometimes you will need some tokens, but we can have some unusual airdrop to facilitate that, and to make them a customer to the whole transaction, experience. Yeah, and I still think it's a lot of education needed. We will try, as much as possible to lower down the barrier, but education definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Blockmates has been relevant.
Yeah,
Is that we educate. Yeah, I mean, it's what we do, right? And it's kind of like one of the things that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks is take custody of your own stuff. Don't rely on central exchanges. So for us, that's going to be a big thing, because a lot of, I mean, it's so interesting. Like, so many people were caught, like really good traders were caught with their funds on FTX, with 6-7 figures, that they'll probably never see their money again. And that's just purely because they didn't think that there was opportunity for them to do trading on chain, which is not true. We know that there's some really good projects out there that, I mean, GMX is one of them. They're amazing. They've done some good work, but there's some really good projects coming up that, present all of these opportunities. And we need to educate people. You want to trade, go to this, this ecosystem. This is how you do it. And we're going to have to start doing it. We're looking forward to it. It's just really, I think it's critical right now. And I think ecosystems need to start doing the same thing, within those communities, and afford everyone the opportunity to be self-reliant and independent of, something like what happened with FTX. In terms of incentives, I mean, people always like love incentives. I mean, what is Metis doing right now from an incentive perspective? If I'm somebody who's sitting on Ethereum blockchain and I'm not really doing anything, what can I do to get some kind of an incentive if I come to Metis?
We can split it into different user scenario. If you are a builder, actually we have several programs can help with the incentives. First, it's a grant. The amount can be discussed. We hope to get very qualified and solid builders onto our Metis layer 2, including not only DeFi but also game metaverse, and also like this collaboration framework. So if you're builders, you can have this initial grant, and also we have a sustainable builder mining program, which means if you launch on Metis, and we're gonna rebate the rewards to you based on the transaction numbers on the chain. The more users you have, the more transaction numbers you have, the more rewards you're gonna have. So this is another kind of incentives we can provide to the builders. And also, we also have a Genesis DAC, is a investment fund in the ecosystem, and they're actively looking for solid projects to invest. So Jack Humors is one of the example they invested, and so I think that's three were key element in the ecosystem for builders to get incentives. And for users, actually, there are a lot of products in the ecosystem that people can experience and try. Uh, and some some information I think uh, I can list is that we are going to release Andromeda Week, which is a celebration for our 1 year birthday for the whole network, and there are some incentives we planned for the users entering Metis network. So please stay tuned with that.
So when is Andromeda Week? When is that planned for?
Next week, from
So that's next
Monday
week.
to Saturday. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'd love to get some information from you afterwards so that we can also present it to the Blockmates community, because I know that there's quite a lot of Hermes and Hummus holders, and they probably don't know about it. I know that they don't know about it because a lot of them haven't been around.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can just notify them in our newsletter and just let them know that that's what that's what's happening. I think that's pretty cool. I also wanted to just find out, just going back to challenges that are currently, just in general, from an ecosystem management team. What are you finding to be the biggest challenges in terms of what you guys do on a day-to-day basis? I mean, what would you say the top 3 challenges are as a founder, your day-to-day kind of engagement?
Yeah, I think the first one is to find the talent that can be, we hope to hire high, like the DKP engineer, because as they know, we are developing the DKP technology and to combine it with the current optimistic rollup technology. But the DKP part is actually pretty challenging. We have 5 people now, but that's not enough. We hope to invest more money in that, and also that's the challenge. We hope to find more talents in that area. Yeah, and the second challenge actually is internal. I think, 1 year ago we only have around less than 10 people, but for now we have over 60. So yeah, as a team, we have already grown to a stage that it's no longer like a workshop. Yeah, it's a company, or it's you will need professional like management line, or professional ways to do business. So that's I think we currently are working on, and especially in the bear market, I think it's a very good opportunity for the team, to get professionalized and also to uh, do it in a high efficient way. And
Yeah,
let's wait for the bull market. And the third challenge I can say is that uh, we although we have, I'm quite confident the best technology, and also we have all these benefits here, but the key message delivered to the industry and to the community is not that clear. Actually, that is related to the marketing part. Um, we hope to tell the industry that, hey, we are here for a big mission, and we
yeah,
have the best tech, and please come and try. But this kind of
yeah.
message is not very clear to be delivered. So that is something also we are working on. We hope to get a very clear message and a very dedicated team to tell the public, here is Metis, the real Metis is. So yeah, I think that's
So
yeah.
I think the if I may give you some feedback on
Please.
the communication side of it. I believe that also comes with, you spoke about Ava earlier on. I think it's also about having the right kind of products that then you can take. So it's not just about the fundamentals of what Metis is, because there's no doubt about it. Metis really ticks all the boxes, in terms of transaction costs, in terms of speed. You guys overcame the barrier to entry around entering into the ecosystem, because in the beginning it was quite tricky. You've overcome that. It's now just a question of, I have this, let's call it a shopping mall. It's a shopping mall, and it's like, well, what shops do you have in there? What services are you providing? What incentives do you have? The communication is actually just about what is there and what people know, and then just going out and saying, we have Ava, we have just as an example, Sushi Swap, just names that are known. And once you've got that, then it kind of like just escalates from that point onwards, and like a really good perpetuals trading platform or an options trading platform. And then once you've got the fundamentals and the basics, then everything, I believe, comes from. I mean, that's what I've seen with all ecosystems, because as far as I can see, you have everything. It's there, that now it's just a question of building on top of that, which you obviously are aware of, and that's what you guys are doing. And then once that's been successful, then I think it's just a case of kind of like preventing people from rushing in the door. That's just going to happen. It's going to be like, and obviously the bear market makes it a lot more difficult, but the bear market also forces, I think it forces all of us to really question, how we're doing things. Is that the right approach?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and I think it's going to happen, Kevin. I mean, it's just getting those projects in place, finding the right partners in those projects, and then the communication side of it will actually be a lot easier, I believe. I don't know, but then I am generally quite optimistic. I am a bit of a bull, so take it for what it is. Okay, I want to ask you probably the last question.
Okay.
How do you think, and this is completely market related, it's not, I mean, it's indirectly Metis related, but what do you think happens from this point onwards in terms of where we are in the market and what's happened? Because I know that, in the past, with previous cycles, we've always had like a major capitulation event and, all this bad news, and then we go rock bottom for a long period of time. What do you think happens? Do you think I'm right in what it is that I'm saying? How do you think the next year plays out for us? And yeah, what is your thinking around that?
Yeah, personal thinking. I feel like it's still take time for all these bad news to be absorbed in the market. So it's maybe for the next year, the whole year, it will be in a very sensitive model. People
Yeah.
feel afraid of something gonna happen. Um, yeah, um, yeah, by legal perspective, I cannot say too much about this part, but yeah, personally, I still think it's it's the opportunity time as well.
Yeah.
To really dive into your platform, your product, your team, and to prepare for the next run. And yeah,
So you believe we will see another bull run? It's not over.
that's not a question at all, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that answer. Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of Solana, I mean, what do you see happening with Solana? Do you think Solana survives and builders flourish, or do you think that there'll be an exit of developers for other opportunities? I mean, have you thought about what happens with Solana from this point onwards?
Yeah, we saw what was happening there. I think that's huge damage to the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for us, I think we welcome any builders to build onto Metis to experience it.
Yeah.
And yeah, what I only can say is maybe good luck.
Yeah. Okay. So it is. I mean, it is an unknown. It's really difficult to predict what's going to happen with Solana. Um, I mean, I was at the Breakpoint conference this last week, and I saw a very vibrant development part of Solana. It was very impressive to see, and I'm really sad because there's some really good projects there. There's good people, and I'm really worried that this is going to, like affect those people, because at the end of the day, it's people that are running projects, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because I think the damage post what's happened is going to be, I think, quite surprising, and I think it's going to be quite extensive. And yeah, I think you're right. I think the next year is going to be really difficult from a market perspective, but I think from a developing perspective and from a builder's perspective, it's a wonderful opportunity. I think. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. A lot of people are saying that they're going, and I'm like, where are you going to? Where are
We
you
stay,
going? Like
we stay, we
we
build. Yeah.
yeah, we stay and we build, and it's not a meme. It's true. It really is. And I mean, I've met some amazing people in the last 6 months that I would never have met during the bull market, because they would have been too busy, to take time, and I probably would not have had time to spend with you, because you probably would have been running like crazy. And I think that's what it's actually about, is that we get an opportunity to actually like reflect on what it is that we're doing, and the people that we're doing it with. Whereas in a bull market, you don't sleep, you don't do anything but run, and
Yeah.
it's great to have that opportunity. Thanks, Kevin, for joining us.
Thank you.
Look forward to getting like your news out there, and then I'd like to just convey the stuff on next week, and the Andromeda
Week.
event, and
Yeah.
Andromeda week, and congrats on your 12 months. It's been a hard 12 months, absolutely. It hasn't been easy, and you guys have made it, and we look forward to the next 12 months and beyond that. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure, and look forward to seeing you again, and maybe next time we'll be in the middle of a bull and we can take it from there. Thanks,
Okay.
Kevin.